Hello, I'm Beau Henderson, and welcome back to Rich Retirement TV. This is the one place that I'm committed to giving you the tools, the resources, the information, and the experts to help you successfully navigate retirement. And today's an important episode. We're going into a new year, and as we start 2020, there's a new retirement change. In fact, it's the biggest change in retirement planning in the last decade, and we're going to talk about the Secure Act that was just passed into law and what we need to know about the Secure Act and how it impacts your retirement. So make sure you listen to this. I'm going to go through it and give you a good overview of what you need to know. And in future episodes, we'll dive deeper and dig into more details. But these are things that pay attention and make a note. Does this impact me? Does this affect me? Might this be something I can take advantage of? Or might this be something that could be a detriment? And as long as you know the rules, we can then come up with a plan to navigate within the rules. And that's my goal here. So let's talk about the Secure Act. It stands for Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement. Now, that's a mouthful, right? But what does it all mean? And what are the changes we can expect? The first change we need to know and we can look into is that there's going to be a broader access or access to more people in the workforce to retirement savings plans, such as 401ks. And what this does is now you'll be allowed to save as long as you have 1,000 hours with an employer in a year as a part-time employee, or you could qualify if you had at least 500 hours for 3 consecutive years. And again, when we go through these rules, what I say, does that apply to me? Am I a part-time employee that I'm going to work at least 10,000 hours, or can I put together 5,000 hours over 3 consecutive years of work? If that applies to me, then a good rule of thumb moving forward is ask your employer, do I now have access, or is there access, or how could I work toward having access to a retirement savings plan at work? And why is this important? One of the things we run into with retirement planning is that people simply are living longer and they're not saving enough money to meet their retirement income need. So having access, more people in this country having access to retirement plans to systematically save over their working career can help address that problem. So I think that's a great enhancement that the Secure Act brings. Again, so if it applies to you, make a note and let's check it out and see if that's something that we might want to look into further. Broader access to retirement plans. The second thing we need to know that the Secure Act is going to bring is broader access to annuities in retirement plans, such as your 401k. And this is important because to date, most 401k plans have had instruments such as mutual funds, bond funds, stocks, even money market funds available, and they're great tools typically for accumulating assets over time. But once we get into a window to where we're maybe 10 years out from actually retiring and needing to draw that income, we need to start transitioning some of that money into how do we best take this money out, or how do we best create retirement paychecks from the assets we accumulate over the course of our working life. And in the right place and in the right mix or the right ratio, an annuity can be the best tool to help secure guaranteed income over the course of your life. So now having annuities and access to annuities in your retirement plan can help more people reach retirement with guaranteed sources of income that they can't outlive, which is one of the biggest problems that face retirees today. So broader access to annuities and retirement plans is another feature that's going to change with the Secure Act. The third thing we need to know about the Secure Act is changes to IRA rules. So the first thing that's different, that's changed, is until now at age 70 and a half, we would no longer be able to contribute money to our IRAs. Now that's off the table. As long as you're working and have earned income or compensation, you can continue to contribute to your IRAs, which can be a big help for people as we see people continuing to work later and longer into retirement. It's still a vehicle we can save in a tax-deferred way. So that's a big plus. The other thing is at 70 and a half, to date, we were required to start taking required minimum distributions. And the trap there is whether we needed the money or not, we were required to take those distributions or face a 50% penalty. So what this does is from 70 and a half, we're pushing this back to age 72. So bottom line there is required minimum distributions as of January 1st, 2020 do not start until age 72. So what does that mean? That gives us a couple more years to get our strategy in place. Maybe work on some more Roth conversion strategies so that we're not forced to take RMDs on that money. Maybe just gives us a little more time to save a bigger nest egg because we need more money to last longer in retirement. So a big change there. Required minimum distributions now moving from 70 and a half to age 72. Now the fourth, and I've heard a lot of information and you've probably seen a lot of writing on this because it's perceived as a negative. It was considered a loophole by a lot of people, and it's the stretch IRA. And the way a stretch IRA would work, a non-spousal beneficiary could be named and inherit an IRA, and they could stretch that tax deferred over the course of their life expectancy, which would allow for ongoing growth and further benefits of the tax deferral. Now, what's changed in the Secure Act is non-spousal beneficiaries now will be required to take those distributions within a 10-year window. So what that does is that's going to maybe reduce some of those benefits of the tax deferral and getting more benefit or getting more money from those IRAs. So that's one change that you may see perceived as a negative as we go out, meaning we're going to have to take that money and pay that tax sooner than we otherwise would have with the new rules of the Secure Act. Another change with the Secure Act is you'll be eligible to pay for child care expenses or take a $5,000 for an individual penalty-free withdrawal from a retirement account to help pay for child care expenses. Or if it's a couple, to marry couple, it can be $5,000 each or $10,000 to help pay for child care expenses. Now, this is something that would have to be done within 1 year of the birth of a child or the adoption of a child, but it can help us offset some of those costs that are going to come up before we get to retirement in a way that we're not having to be penalized to access that money. Now, it's important to know you will have to pay tax on that money, but if we went by the rules in the past, you would be having to pay tax plus a 10% early withdrawal fee. So just another feature to know if this applies to you, no, there's an extra $5,000 to $10,000 available that we might be able to access penalty-free from our retirement accounts. The Secure Act has some potential good news for those of us who have gone to school and maybe accumulated some college loans, some loans that need to be repaid. What it's done is it's expanded the definition of qualified expenses from a 529 plan, and what you can now do is you can pay up to $10,000 a year from a 529 towards paying off student loans. Before this year in the Secure Act, that was not allowed. That wasn't considered a qualified expense. So again, college loans, we have money left after college in a 529 plan, we can take that and pay that money against our student loans. And the seventh and the last thing I want to talk about today that I think we need to know and see if this applies to us is an expanded definition of compensation, and who this impacts is graduate students. Maybe you're a graduate student and you have a stipend or a fellowship. Now with the Secure Act, those monies can be counted as compensation and would allow you to start saving in an IRA. Whereas in the past, that wouldn't count and you'd have to wait until you're out in the workforce getting a regular paycheck to start saving in retirement plans. So for students, graduate students, that's a great thing to know that we can actually start a little earlier while we're still finishing our graduate training. And the other is foster care. It's families taking care of foster kids that may be getting state payments or state benefits. That can be considered qualified care expense that could be included in being able to contribute to retirement plans. So just another way that more people are included in being able to have access to these tools to save money and accumulate money over their working life to be better prepared for retirement. So a lot of good positives from the Secure Act. And my goal today was to at least hit at a high level some of the big things that are going to apply to a lot of people. And again, as I stated earlier, if it applies to you, make a note. It's something we need to dig into further and maybe ask more specific questions about. And you'll see me dig into each one of these items, probably in its own video, digging a little deeper. And I hope you let me know what other information, what other details, what other questions you have that may apply to you, and how this might impact you and your retirement, because the goal here is to make sure we know the rules. Remember, knowledge is power, and we best navigate retirement in a successful way, the best we possibly can. Now, we have some gifts, and thank you for being here. There's a rich retirement cheat sheet that you'll see in the comments below. You can download that now. It's just more tips and tools to successfully navigate retirement. Please subscribe to this channel and let me know, what other questions do you have? What do you want to know more about? And how can I help you navigate that successful retirement? That's what I'm here to do on Rich Retirement TV, and I'll see you soon.